Corinne, welcome to #World Food Day.
Thank you, Jeremy. Happy to be here.
Corinne, I want to start by asking you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and the Kofi Annan Foundation?
Well, I was with the United Nations for over 30 years, and I had the immense privilege when I was there to work directly with Kofi Annan when he was Secretary General. And 5 years ago, I was also offered the chance to lead his foundation, which he set up after he stepped down from the UN. So this is a small foundation based in Geneva. And basically, our mission is to carry forward his legacy for peace by looking at youth leadership, by looking at democracy, and also by looking at food security.
Well, that's really interesting, of course, because it's World Food Day. What are the fundamental issues that we're facing in relation to food security?
Well, Kofi Annan once said that a hungry man is not a free man. And it means that, no matter what progress we make in lots of other fields, the fundamental needs of people are first to survive and to eat. And it's in the Sustainable Development Goals defined by the UN, the eradication of hunger is goal number 2. It's so important. It's really so core, so fundamental. But what we're seeing, unfortunately, is that we're moving away from that target, not making any progress, but actually moving away. So there are about nearly 30% of the world population today, which is food insecure. So that doesn't mean that people are starving, but they're food insecure. They don't all know on a regular basis whether they will have access to nutritious and sufficient food. So we're not in a very good place and far from where we thought we would be by now. That's the key overall message that we have. There are also what Kofi Annan always said, and which we found recently, the foundation ran a high-level commission on food security, is that it's not a technical problem. We have the technology, we have the land, the planet can feed 10 billion people. We're at 8 now, but it could feed more. So it's a matter of how we are organized, how the markets are organized, how people have access to food, how much food we waste. So these are, for me, the 2 key insights. People are hungry, and it's not because the planet cannot feed them. It's because we're not organized in the way that can deliver food to everyone.
What's being done about that organization? If it's an organizational issue, are there steps being taken to organize it properly?
Well, there is an international architecture around food markets, around access to food for vulnerable populations. There are a lot of agencies, regional, international. Let me cite, for instance, the World Food Programme, amazing agency that delivers mostly to people in crisis areas. There's the Food and Agricultural Organization, both are based in Rome. So, the World Bank tackles it. But it's just precisely, some of it is that they are a bit disjointed, a lot of efforts that are disjointed. And also at national level, the governments don't always make it possible for food to reach the most vulnerable. And what worries us is that people only start addressing the issue when people are already hungry. And we think we have to place much more emphasis on preventing people. We know that there are vulnerable people, poor people who are at the border. They could slide into hunger. We have to prevent these people from sliding into hunger. And there are some countries that have done amazing things, such as Brazil, that, have social policies that will prevent the poor people from sliding into hunger. And it's a matter of applying the lessons learned in some countries elsewhere.
It's amazing. We're working with the World Food Programme on this programme today and seeing if over the next year we can raise money for 1 million meals for the ShareTheMeal campaign that they have, which is incredible. So, what a phenomenal organisation, which you just pointed out a moment ago. And I thought it was amazing that they won the Nobel Peace Prize. And I wonder if you could talk to us and perhaps explain to people at home, because when I tell people that WFP won the World Peace Prize, they're like, wow, that's amazing. Because, of course, if we're hungry, we're going to fight. I mean, if we can't feed our children, we're not going to just sit there and watch them die. I mean, it's heavy, isn't it? Talk to us about the relationship between food and peace.
Well, it goes both ways because you said if you're hungry, you're going to fight. But if people are fighting, people go hungry. So it goes both ways. It's a very clear relationship, and we see. I mean, a perfect example today is Sudan, but of course Gaza as well. So we see that in many regions affected by conflict, access to food becomes very, very difficult for lots of reasons. I mean, people cannot cultivate anyway. If a country was importing grain, the grain will not arrive. People just are displaced. Massive displacement. More than 100 million people on the roads today in the world, Jeremy. So these people, it's very difficult to access food when you're not at home, when you're not sitting in your town, when you don't know where the shops is, when you don't have money. So there is such a clear relationship between peace, conflict, and access to food. There are also people who do not have access to food in peaceful situations, but there is a very clear causal relationship between the two. And it goes both ways because, of course, as you said, when you're desperate, you're going to take arms if you can't feed your family.
What can individuals do, Corinne, around this issue of food? Is there anything that we can do in our lives to make a difference?
Yes, I know that it seems so intractable. I mean, for many of us, we think, but what can I do here? I'm sitting here in Geneva, to solve hunger in Sudan. Sometimes it seems so intractable, but there are actually lots of things that we can do at the individual basis. One is to push our governments to promote policies that combat climate change, because climate change is also having a very bad effect on crops and on the ability of people to feed themselves. So that's one. Very simple at the local political level, push for politicians who believe that climate change is not a hoax, but that it's a real thing and that it must be effectively fought. So one thing. Two, combat food waste, because something like up to 30% of food goes wasted in many countries. So this is something that each individually we can fight. We all are guilty of food waste, and we must really stop it, because it doesn't make sense for our planet to produce food that is then, up to 30% is wasted. Three, support international organizations and NGOs. There are many, many wonderful. You cited the World Food Programme, which is really amazing for people in crisis. But there are many also large NGOs that work on helping the food producers, the small farm holders, produce for their family. And Kofi Annan was always determined to help those people, the small farm holders. They're the ones who are in the front line. They need to be able to feed their family first and then their communities. And then things like trade across region, across countries and so on, fade away because they're able to feed their own people.
So what about the Kofi Annan Foundation? It's incredible speaking to you today. And you know that Kofi Annan was a source of inspiration for me. He listened to me and he supported me. And so I'm just kind of like, it's always wonderful to speak to you and hear about the work of the foundation. Is there anything that anybody can do to support the Kofi Annan Foundation?
Thank you, Jeremy, first of all, for being such a good friend of the foundation. And the inspiration goes both ways. You do an amazing job. Listen, to support us, first of all, learn about us. We have a website, kofiannanfoundation.org, and you have everything there. Follow us on social media. We're very present both on Instagram and LinkedIn, not on other platforms for a number of reasons. So follow us on social media and contact us. It's very easy. And we always respond, by the way. We always respond. So contact us if you have ideas. We want ideas. Yes, of course, we want people, to also direct donors to us because we're all in the same situation. But we want ideas. We just want people to be interested in what we do and to understand the legacy of our founder.
It's lovely that you say, we always reply if somebody contacts you. And it made me think about, I wrote to Kofi Annan and he replied, so it's lovely to see that.
Exactly.
It's lovely to see that his ethos has continued. Fantastic. I wanted to ask you, sorry, before we go, there's a lot, you're doing a lot for young people, aren't you? I mean, you have amazing ambassadors. Just tell us briefly about that incredible work.
You know, again, I mean, I sound like a broken record, but it was really Kofi Annan's impulsion, momentum. He was so close to young people. Even when I knew him and he was already not a young man, he always drew young people to him, and he always tried to listen to them on a completely equal basis. So we have continued this work. We work on youth leadership for peace, but youth leadership in general. For instance, recently we gathered 30 young leaders in mental health in East Africa, which is a very underserved region for mental health. We brought them together to discuss how can they help each other at the regional level. What are the latest best practices in mental health at the community level? So young people are half of the population of the world. If you don't use their energy and their ideas, you're not going to go anywhere. So we always try not to train young people because they don't need our training. We just try to give them the access and the networks and the visibility they need.
And the encouragement.
Of course.
Which is exactly what Kofi and Annan. It's so wonderful hearing all the different stories, because it's kind of like, my whole relationship with him was about encouragement, was about being listened to, was about answering the email, or the letter in those days.
And you were a young man, still are, of course.
I've still got the energy of a young man. But anyway, listen, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. The foundation's amazing. He was just a visionary, and if only he were the Secretary General at this point. We need his leadership in a major way right now. But the foundation's still going. Thank you, Corinne, for everything that you do. Good luck with your work.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Pleasure to be here as always.